Yeah, we all know Diarmuid from be it soccer, hurling or Gaelic football. Cork people, they really, really get behind you when you're doing well. It can be difficult when you're not. How are you keeping?
Good lads, how you doing? All well.
Just firstly, actually, can I just get your views on the hurling last weekend? What a weekend we had.
Yeah, even though I wanted it, guys, I was slow to sit down and watch it, but I suppose the Gael in me eventually came around to sitting down watching the couple of games.
Despite yourself.
Yeah, just despite myself, just to make it even more difficult, just as the dust was starting to settle. But we're hurling people. We love hurling, so we'll always watch it, and we'll always be enthralled and intrigued by what actually happens. On game day, how the four sets of players go out, how they perform. How they put on a show and a spectacle for the hurling fraternity of the country and further afield. And I don't think last Saturday or Sunday was a letdown to the game of hurling by any manner of means.
It's obviously,
a feat.
Yeah, it's obviously just very raw the way you're talking there.
Yeah, absolutely. I just came in at the end of your conversation there. Like, hurling's a game of fine margins. We went out to Galway a number of weeks ago on fine margins, and Galway, last Sunday, they'll argue the same case. They had enough opportunities to dethrone Limerick as well. And if you don't take your chances against the better opposition, that's you'll find yourself out of the competition.
And you mentioned that. How many regrets do you have about that game in some stadium? Because like Galway got, in my view, they got completely out of jail. It was just one of them days where you maybe you hit wise, you hit the ball in the goalie's hand, you miss goal chances, and then that's like, you talk about fine margins, but how could you not have so many regrets about that? You end up losing by a point, and if you have XG and hurling, Cork win that game comfortably.
Yeah, look. If you want to go down the analytical side of it, we had 55 opportunities in goal. We think took was it 23 or 24 of them. So guys, you don't need to be a genius or a scientist to work out where the winning and losing the game was there. Is there regrets? Absolutely. Were we disappointed? Absolutely. But on the day, our guys gave everything they had. As I said, some of them opportunities didn't come off. There's no one held in bad light because of it. If you look at go back to last Sunday again, Galway had similar opportunities, they didn't come off. So look, if you're investing so much time and energy into the game, and you're at full throttle all the time, when you're trying to execute, these opportunities won't come off all of the time. So, I'm not going to sit here and patronise any of our players or any of the Galway players or Clare players or anyone for that matter, because the intensity levels they're working under and the scrutiny they're working under are ferocious. And of course, there has to be room for, I won't use the word failure. There has to be room for mistakes to happen within the game, because their time on the ball is so precious and so little, and the intensity and the pressure they're under is absolutely
incredible.
Phenomenal.
It's absolutely, like, if you watch the hurling last Sunday,
off the charts.
It's unbelievable.
Off the charts.
Like the level of hurling now in terms of the physicality and the fitness, and the stats have been borne out. Like, watching that game on Sunday was incredible, and like, you're talking such fine margins here, like literally split seconds.
Oh, guys, it's incredible. Like, if you cannot control the ball within 1 or 2 seconds and probably move the ball onto the guy in the next position or even have a shot at a score, you're swarmed, you're done. You're done. 2 to 3 second window, like in a game, where the ball can travel faster than any man in the field. It's just incredible to think that guys are now conditioned to be able to, to do what they do over the course of 75, 80 minutes in a game.
Diarmuid, can you talk us through the aftermath of that defeat and the decision for you as a management team to step away?
Yeah, look, I suppose the aftermath, as we alluded there with a goal, look, it's still a bit raw with us. The fact we went out because we believe we made a commitment to our squad that we get them back to Croke Park again this year. We fell short on our commitment. It wasn't from the lack of effort or the want of trying, because Kieran Kingston is a very, very honourable man, and he will do everything, not only for the backroom team, for the group of players. And unfortunately, we fell short, and it'll take a while to to move on and the memories to disappear, I suppose. But you know, the aftermath. Okay, there was the offer of another term. You know, Kieran has given 12, 13, 14 years of his life to being a selector, manager, mayor, foreign, or whatever you want. And, you know, we just felt probably it was time for a new voice.
So the option was there to hang around next year, and it was because you didn't get back to Cork Park. It was essentially the reason why you didn't decide to take them up on that offer for another year.
No, not essentially. No, there's probably other reasons behind it that I'm not going to share with you guys, obviously. But ultimately, Kieran's decision was, look, for the sake of the option and that year, look, maybe best place someone come in now, get a 2-3 year term and start to put their own stamp on it.
How hard is that, Diarmuid, though? Because you are literally talking such fine margins here, and like it's not an ideal way to go out at all. I mean, Cork are now forgotten about in the championship. We move on and so on and so forth. But did you not want that one more chance to kind of put right the wrongs of Thurles?
Oh, guys, if we could run that clock back again to that day, but unfortunately we'll never get that day in our lives back again. Yeah, you can go. Look, there's two ways of looking at it. Yeah, absolutely. Would we have loved to right them wrongs? You know, you look at the other side of the coin. Could it go pear-shaped again? You know, could next year go pear-shaped and we mightn't even get out of Munster?
Yeah.
So look, you're balancing. You know, we feel we've done. You know, we've left Cork hurling in a healthy position. We've left a very young squad behind us, and I've no doubt with the group of players that are there. They're more than capable of getting back up on the horse and righting them wrongs for themselves.
Yeah, I actually think like the Galway defence actually managed Limerick in some respects better than they did year running games. They just kind of got out of jail. That's my point on it. Incredible proud to stand with Kieran over the last 3 years. Thank you for everything and staying true to your vision. Scrutinised to the extreme by those who wore red. Stood on the line as red so they could remain relevant through various media outlets. When they walk the walk, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Diarmuid O'Sullivan, this was your tweet. The Rock on the pitch, the Rock off the pitch. There's an awful lot to get through there, and this is your moment to explain that tweet.
Oh, guys,
you have 10
how
minutes.
long is the programme? Because okay, look, it's very simple, right? Social media has now become society, right? And a lot of things are driven through social media, etc., etc. But through that, you need to find balance, right?
Good luck with that.
You know, and that's impossible. But if you look at it, there's a number of guys in the game of hurling. Look at Paul Murphy, right? He's one of the most balanced guys I've ever seen to talk about the game of hurling. To be fair, Eddie Brennan, similar, James O'Connor, right? They're very, very balanced guys. And they're fair but judgmental at the same time. You know, I think that's what anyone is looking for. But I suppose Kieran has worked under some of the most scrutinised conditions any inter-county manager has faced. You know, I do believe that Cork is still the most attractive. Cork manager's job is still the most attractive in the country. Some people are probably looking at their computer screens now already to figure, what is this guy on about? That's my opinion, right? As we know what to say about opinions, but that's another story. I do believe it's the most prestigious job in hurling. But again, it's the most scrutinised, and you know, whatever about national media, etc. Some of the harshest scrutiny has come from people within Cork. People who've worn the red jersey, people who've stood in the line doing certain roles as part of Cork setup, etc. So, you know, it's tough to take in that circumstance. You know, it's tough. It's tough when your own turn and you haven't started to throw slide remarks, digs. You know,
who though, Joe? I don't know the local media. Who are you referring to here?
I sure know, guys. You're on social media as much as anyone, but you know, I'm not. You're clever enough to figure out what has been going on over the last while. You know, our training venues are questioned. Our loyalty to senior players is questioned, that we alienate them, along as, you know, various other things. So look, it's a minefield. If you want to dig into it, you know, I've no doubt you'll find all that information for yourselves.
So you're referring to, like, you know, maybe the Horgan decision that he didn't start, and I'd imagine now, like, people forget that this is an amateur game, right? And the scrutiny sometimes is way over the top. And from your perspective, that must be a pain in the hole at times.
Absolutely, but lads, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one, right? So that, unfortunately, that's the world we live in. There was a guy, right? Let's be straight, right? There was a guy questioned our loyalty to senior players. Had we alienated some of them, right? The same guy who questioned our loyalty once he was deemed surplus to requirements by Kieran, jumped ship on the very club who gave him the opportunity to play for Cork and move back across the border. So, there's certain little elements and little things in around this that are very, very hard to take,
How does that seep into your thinking then, Diarmuid? Are you on social media yourself, or how does it become apparent to you that this sort of stuff is being said?
As much as you try to block it out, guys, it's always seeping, because you'll always meet someone during the day or the course of your week and say, "Geez, did you see such and such a fella? Did you see this guy's podcast? Did you read this guy's report? Did you see this guy in the Sunday game?" As much as you like to keep it out, you'll always get fed back into you, but you just have to switch out. We believe we gave everything to the cause. We did everything in the right manner to bring Cork hurling forward. So, we can move out of the job with our heads held high over the course of the last 3 years. So, 20, 21, 22, 20 and 21 were, dictated by COVID some manners. This year was probably the first year that we got a real crack at the championship. So, yeah, look, we can go out with our heads held high.
So just to sum up, it was people criticising the training venues, the loyalty to older players, and I guess it's something that you can't avoid. And yourself and Kieran are talking about this. Is it a thing that the players are talking about as well, and does it feed into their performances?
No, absolutely not. Myself, Kieran, Pat and Noel, not for 1 second did we give it any thought, because we knew what we were doing on the field was the right thing. The players, okay, if you look at it, right, we were on a run of 9 out of 10 games where we were undefeated early in the year. Obviously, the National League final was a disappointment for us, right? But following that National League final, Waterford were the benchmark. They were the team to beat. How could anyone stop them from going up the steps of the Hogan stand was the narrative that was built around that. While all the time while that was going on, we were trying to get ourselves ready to play Limerick. So like it just brought in a little mini run where every team goes through a dip. We were no different to others. We had a dip, but it was the way our performance was scrutinised, our the way we played the game, the way we were tactically set up, questions around were we capable of doing it, etc., etc. It wasn't just around training venues or the alienation of older players, So it was just a multitude and a mix of things. But we were big boys. We were able to block the noise out, We'd refer to it as Spanish. I can't speak Spanish, so I don't really understand it. So I keep it on the outside,
Pat Mulcahy interview in the Echo on Monday. To be honest, you'd understand national media stuff are a bit removed from Cork. It's more sound bites and personal. What did hurt was the negative reaction from former Cork players, in particular those who have platforms on podcasts and social media. Some of that stuff came across as unhelpful and as having an agenda behind it. Like, I think that's the important thing there, Diarmuid.
Well, look, I can't speak for Pat, guys. I can only talk through what my feelings and what we went through during the season. An agenda, some of them guys, if you look through it, there's history between certain members of previous management, old management who would be involved in our backroom teams. There would be history there. I'm not going to give you a history lesson. If you want to dig into it a bit deeper, you'll see the rationale and the reason for Pat's statement, because at some stages through the careers of these guys on their podcasts or social medias have crossed paths with member of management down through the years.
Sorry, go ahead on.
I was just going to ask, obviously we don't need to go do the history lesson, but is there still divisions in Cork when we go back to the very obvious moments of the 2000s? Is there still divisions from that moment, do you feel? No doubt there's underlying issue. No doubt there's underlying currents there all the time. But look, once you're in a job like ours, that we've been privileged. Let me state that for the record. We've been absolutely privileged, myself and Kieran. We've had 5 years. Privilege is probably doing it injustice. So, but that was the most important thing for us. Yeah, you'll have underlying currents, you'll have everything else, but the privilege for us to be involved with the Cork senior hurling squad for 5 years was
you know, it was it's hugely proud for us and our families, you know.
Absolutely, but I guess then when you look at other setups in Gaelic games like Limerick at the moment and what they've done, it's everybody getting behind them, rowing behind the team, going into one direction. The Dubs very much got their resources in line and made the best of their situation at the end of the 2000s. Like, do you look at those setups and do you look at those counties and say, if we could get everybody on side in Cork, that the potentially hasn't been realised and could be realised over the next little while?
To be honest, I don't think you need everyone on side. All you need is the group of players in the backroom team you have involved in a given season to be on side. You know, you keep the Spanish out. You look after what's inside your own four walls. You can only get what's inside your own four walls, right? You can't worry about what goes on outside it, because if you do, then you know there's too many variables and too many things come into it. So we always concerned ourselves with ourselves. But yes, you're right in relation to Limerick and Dublin. They have, you know, they molded something that was really, really strong, and they're now bearing fruit for it.
Just briefly now, so we've a couple more questions for you. Just how do you think Pat Ryan will get on?
Wonderful. Pat Ryan is a brilliant guy with a brilliant attitude, and I think Pat, with the group of players that we have left and the group of a number of players that are coming behind, I think Pat and his incoming management team will have a wonderful opportunity to bring Cork hurling back to where it needs to be.
My final question for you is, would this put you off going in again, all this crap that you're alluding to this morning?
I'm thick-skinned, guys. You know, let's be honest. Some of it does concern me, because when it comes from your own, it's probably hard to take. You know, but there's reason behind everything why people do this. So look, you can't question person's the rationale or the reasoning for pursuing Cork management over the last while. No, I wouldn't think so. Look, again, Cork hurling, in my opinion, right, and everyone is entitled to theirs, is the most prestigious job in the game of hurling. So, you know, never say never to anything. I suppose what I'm saying.
I guess having seen them both up close, Diarmuid, did it be foolish for us to leave you go without asking you who's going to win the final? I mean, you've seen them both. Obviously, the situation with Limerick this year has just been one of these where they seem to be back to a level where they're hungrier than ever. I guess 2 years with COVID will do that to them. And obviously, you'll have seen Kilkenny down through the last few years as well. So can Limerick be stopped, I guess, next weekend?
Can Limerick be stopped next weekend? Like, for years, there was a thing you would be foolish to back against Kilkenny, you know, when Kilkenny win All Ireland finals. You know, when the same question was brought there, you'd be foolish to back against Kilkenny. I think now Limerick are so comfortable and so calm in every situation, every facet of the game. You'd be foolish to look beyond Limerick. While I know that's a contradiction, that you'd never look beyond Kilkenny in a final, because what we saw from Brian Cody's team last week was reminiscent of years gone by. That rawness, that hunger, that aggression. It's incredible to think Brian has transitioned a new team to get to an All-Ireland final like that. We faced 90% of that team ourselves last year in All-Ireland semi-final, and you know, it was obvious that there was something coming. But for Brian to transition that group, where again, right, he was scrutinised and heavily scrutinised by Kilkenny and the hurling media when he didn't step away following that defeat last year. So look, he's galvanised that. But just, you know, Limerick, what can you say about them? They're the benchmark. It's just they're longer on their journey, guys, and on that basis, you know, you'd have to give them the nod.
Hopefully you'll be able to enjoy it in some shape or form anyway.
Jeez, no, lads, that's a big statement.
Brilliant having you on, Diarmuid.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
That was the legendary Diarmuid O'Sullivan.